And welcome back to Nature's Underrated. Today is a host-only episode. You got
right.
Hassan Haydar in the building, co-host Ryan George. Today, honestly, this episode is way past due. way past due. Today, we are going to recap the 100-day hydro. Some of you may or may not know what that is, but if you have been following us on social media, you know that this past winter, myself, Ryan, Thomas Argetta, Chris Bazooka, all committed. Bazooka. All committed to 100 consecutive days of cold exposure in order to raise money to pay for people's hydro bills throughout the winter. And that was all wrapped up March 20, I want to say. I believe it was March 20 or March 21st. And it's now June. So we're a little bit past, a recap episode, but I think it's important that we get into it.
Yeah.
Especially I'm feeling a little bit of inspiration inside of me to run it back or do something similar again this winter. So I would love to recap the last season, kind of put a bow on it so I can start focusing more on the future and what lies ahead. And with that being said, let's get into it. 100-day hydro. Where did it start? How did it start? Who was involved? Let's get into it. So 100-day hydro, I think the inspiration for me came... So this is funny because the story goes back to 2019. I was living in Detroit. I had attended a dinner where we were raising money to pay for people's heating in Detroit, which is the situation in Detroit is a lot worse. There's a lot more people who are living without heating. But I remember going to that dinner and thinking, wow, like this is super impactful. We're giving people heat. Like you hear a lot about other different kind of fundraisers. It just struck me as something different and something impactful. And it just sat in the back of my mind for 3 years, essentially, for 2-3 years. And this winter, as the winter was approaching, I had been inspired the season prior by Hernan Chris, shout out Hernan Chris, to do 100 consecutive days. But I didn't want to just do 100 consecutive days. I think, one of the main purposes of doing something like 100 consecutive days is to build discipline. And I always felt like I was already in a point in my life where, not that I was perfectly disciplined, but that's not what I needed from the water, in particular.
Yeah.
So I had thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do 100 days, but I want to elevate it. I want to help people. I want to tie it into a charity. I don't want to do mental health. A lot of people do mental health. There's a lot of charity organizations for mental health. I don't want to do food. Like there's a lot of other infrastructure around for those people.
And it's not that those people don't need help.
No. It's not that those people don't need help. It's just
trying to do something that was impactful in a different way, I think.
Impactful and almost my own, something that I felt connected to. And that idea was always in my head. And doing a little bit of research, Google searching, trying to find out, like, is there a charity that does this? What kind of programs are available for people who are struggling with this kind of stuff? And just overall looking at the situation of the city, the country, the world when we're still going through it, the hyperinflation, energy costs going up, people getting left behind, impacting, like slight changes in prices were impacting people to the point where food banks were getting overrun. So it was very clear that people right here in Toronto, in the GTA, needed some help. And yeah, that's kind of like what I wanted to do. I said, I want to impact locally. I don't want to think too big picture. I want to think about my neighbor, and I'm willing to put my body in the water for 100 days consecutively to do that. So I put the message out into the universe. I let you know, I let Thomas know, I let Chris know, and it was all like, it was almost like that was the way it was supposed to happen because everyone was just like, yes.
Yeah.
Nobody said, let's do this, let's do that. It was just like, boom. Let's go. What's the first day? Let's run with it. And at that point, I think it's important that everyone know we didn't know how we were going to get money to people. Oh, actually, I'll tell the backstory. I went and interviewed some charities, and I realized that they were not. I'm not going to name the charities, but I visited some homes, and they were empty. I'm not even going to say most of the details, but they were empty. I went and walked around.
Right.
This beautiful building.
They're touting all the help they're doing for these people, but then you go to the facilities and they're just empty. There's nobody there,
right? And we had originally said, okay, what if we partner with a charity and pay for a heating bill for a shelter? But then when they told me their heating bill was like $250,000, and I went to the building and the building was empty, I was like, okay, these guys, A, have enough money.
Wow. Yeah.
A, they have enough money, so they don't really need my help. And B, I don't think it's going to be impactful in the way that I wanted it to be impactful. So, we just said, okay, we're going to do it. We don't know how we're going to get money to people. We don't know what charity we're going to work with. We pretty much have no idea how we're going to reach our goal. We just knew that we were going to do it.
And even the goal we set out at first, we were like, we made it lower than what it ended up being.
What was
I think originally we were like, oh, if we can raise like $5,000, that'd be lit.
Yeah.
Like we're like, and then I remember we had a meeting. We're like, is that too much? Like, are we trying for too much here?
Yeah.
And then, so we ended up changing it to 10K, and
the idea was 20 families.
Yeah.
$500 per family.
Exactly. Because that just felt like better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's impact as many people as possible.
Yeah. So we said $10,500 per person, and we ran with it. I think that's the inception story. If you want to know how things came about, that's how it came about.
Yeah.
So now I guess what people really want to know is how the hell do you do 100 consecutive days?
Right.
How do you do 100 consecutive days? Like the motivation of wanting to do it for other people, of course, was there. But you're talking about 100 consecutive days, mainly in the lake in a Canadian winter. So rain, shine, clouds, windstorms, snowstorms, massive waves, angry lake. You're in the water. And
the first day was just, we got assaulted, bro.
Yeah. So
we got assaulted.
December 10th, day one. We pull up to the lake. The lake is crazy. And I don't think I ever saw it like that before.
No. And normally we don't dip at this spot because it can get a little chaotic.
Yeah.
We don't go there.
Yeah.
And Thomas was like, yo, let's meet at Ludi Station. We're like, all right, man, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And the waves were what? Like you're 6'4"?
Yeah. They're over my head.
They were over your head.
Yeah.
I'm 5'8". I was dying.
Yeah.
Bro, like Chris disappeared.
Everyone got
for
crushed.
A hot second.
Everyone got crushed. It was funny. I don't know if that was like just the way the universe's world is saying, like, are you sure you want to do this?
I'll be honest, man. It was cold outside that day
freezing.
too. Like it was really cold. It was windy, obviously, because the lake was ferocious with waves. I was questioning everything about what we were about to embark on. And like, I think like, you get caught up in the hype and the adrenaline is rushing and everything. Like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. But like going into it, I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this?
It's 100 days.
This was day one and I barely survived. I was like, what am I thinking?
Yeah. So we get there, we get crushed by the waves. That kind of set the tone, I feel like, for the rest of the dips.
Yeah.
It's funny. People always ask, like, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? The answer is you just do it. That's the answer. You can't stop to think, because that's when all the other resistance manifests in your brain. Like you create the resistance
100%
in your own mind.
100%. If you stop and think about it, you're done.
Yeah.
You just do it. It becomes autopilot almost in a way, like setting up your dip kit the night before, putting it by the door, getting all your things ready, making sure your towel's dry, making sure your water shoes are dry, making sure like you have all your things. Like it was like a ritual, just putting, like, as soon as I would get home from the lake, put everything in the dryer, get it dry, repack my kit, and leave it by the door.
Yes, exactly.
So it's ready to go, because just one less step of resistance. You get up, you're like, I gotta go to the lake. Because I mean, for me, there were many days where I did not go to the lake in the morning. And for the rest of the day, it's just sitting in the back of your mind, like, ooh.
But it becomes bigger too.
Well, no, of course it does.
Yeah.
And it's, no matter what you're doing throughout the day, you have to go to the lake.
It's a boogeyman.
And then if you didn't go during the day when it's light out, now you got to do a nighttime dip. And it's just like, what was I thinking? Why didn't I just get this done in the first hour of the day and be done with it?
Yeah.
So many times. And then you're just chasing after it. And that is when it gets like challenging. There was a lot of 11 p.m. bathtub dips I did.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, well, I fucked up.
Yeah. If you, that's the one thing I kind of like, I knew I had to do. I knew I had to do it first of all, like I'm working a day job, so I have to get it done before work.
Have to.
No way I'm getting it done after work. Like not 0% chance. I know if I had to, but like I knew I was like, I have to get it done right away. So let's get into the dip kit. So these are the things I would pack into my bag every single day in order to make sure that I'm successful. So neoprene socks. They're amazing for protecting your feet, grip. Honestly, bringing less sand home too, they really help. I bought some sandproof ones, which basically like wash off sand really easily. I actually went through, I think 2 pairs.
Really?
Yeah.
But do you have ones with the rubber soles?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. So no, rubber soles. No. They're like, I guess they have like a coating of rubber on them.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you why.
I got like the shoes.
Those won't.
Because the rocks at Humber are pretty.
I'll tell you why mine ripped. It's because whenever I would dip in -5 or 10, if I left them on because I would always have like this almost cement block that I would get dressed on. If I left them on there, they would freeze. Then I would have to rip them off, and they started ripping from the bottom. That's why. So that's why I was like, what the hell? Why do I keep ripping these? And then I realized it's because every time it's really cold, I would have to rip them off, or like I would have rocks stuck to them and you would rip those off.
Bro, that's why you got to get the ones with the rubber soles, man.
Does those ones have zippers?
No, mine have Velcro.
Okay.
So it's just like a Velcro strap that goes around the ankle.
Yeah.
And what's nice about those is like it actually keeps, because like my toes go numb instantly.
Oh,
and then I can't feel anything. So like then you're stepping on rocks, you're not sure of your footing and everything, but the rubber soles and just like they're thicker.
What are they called? Maybe you could plug them.
Bro, I don't know. It's a random Amazon brand.
Damn. Okay.
That I bought a pair for myself, and then like literally 2 weeks later, I went to buy a pair for Autumn, and the brand had already changed.
Yeah.
It's Amazon, bro. It's just
you go on Amazon, you look for neoprene socks. I had 5mm ones
or boots, or get like I recommend the rubber outsoles just because you're more sure of they're more durable, and you're more sure of your footing. And what I would do is I would just wear them to the lake. I started just wearing them to the lake.
Yeah.
So they're already on. So that's one less thing I have to put on in the cold.
Yeah. No zippers.
No zippers.
You don't want zippers because if the zipper freezes and you have wet boots on and you're coming out of the lake, you're going to be miserable. Also, might be dangerous. You know, you could be risking frostbite with that. So neoprene socks.
Number one. Get boots. Yeah. I didn't have them for the first year of dipping.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. Like everyone was like, yo, wear your boots. I'm like, boots, get out of here. And then every time I was just complaining about my feet. They would be numb for like 2 hours post dip.
Yeah.
Got the boots, never an issue again.
Yeah. Get the neoprene boots. Then I would have one towel to lay on the ground.
Yep.
Then I would have my bathrobe. Then I would have another towel to dry off with.
Yep.
And then always my winter gloves. No matter what the temperature was, I always brought winter gloves because my hands they would go numb. And the only way to get them back online was to just completely cover them up. Even if it wasn't too cold outside, because the blood is not like the blood flow is restricted for the first little while. And when you come back out of the water, having those winter gloves always on me were huge, especially if it was windy. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh my God. The amount of suffering I saved by having winter gloves.
A lot of people wear the gloves in the water because like you typically, if you're outdoors, you don't want your hands to go numb, especially if you got to get dressed after. So like people will protect their hands and keep their hands out of the water. Everyone thinks like you're doing like the prayer pose and it's like a spiritual thing. No, I just don't want my hands to freeze. So you got to keep them up out of the water.
Exactly.
Gloves is a big one. I did not utilize gloves enough, or at least the ones I had were not warm. Like they did nothing.
Yeah.
My hands would go numb regardless. But I think it's, the towel to lay down. Some people use a yoga mat or like a beach mat or like a kind of tarp so the sand doesn't stick to it. I know Anne, shout out to her. She's got it's like a picnic kind of beach tarp from Mech.
Yeah.
I think. And it's kind of like a tarp material. Amazing. No sand ever sticks to that. And it's big. It's got a much bigger footprint than a towel.
Yeah.
So you actually have real estate to lay out all your things because you want to be able to lay out all your things so you can put them on easily when you get out of the water.
Yeah.
You want to have it organized. You don't want to be ruffling through a bag trying to, where are my socks? Where's my shirt? Where are my pants? Like, no. You don't have time for that. So towel.
Number one, get your kit together. You want to do 100 days straight? Get your kit together. Make sure
100%.
you're, for me, it's like packing the exact same thing every single day, making sure everything is dry and ready to go like immediately after. Like you said, go dip, all my shit's wet. I come home, I dry it, I put it back in the bag.
Bro,
Done.
My dip kit is still the dip kit.
Yeah.
I still have the same towel, the boots, everything's in that duffel bag.
Same.
That
it's
is
the same towel.
It's the same. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
And like having a bathrobe, huge. That was like the game changer. I brought that to the first one, and I was like, "Yo, this is such a hack." Because like you can use that as a towel too. So you put it on,
it covers you up,
keeps you warm,
Yeah.
it blocks the wind, and then you can dry yourself with it. It's way easier to change when you're not worried about exposing yourself to anyone. Because if you're trying to wrap a towel around your waist when your hands are numb, and then you're trying to peel off basically frozen shorts under the towel, it's just windy. It's too much work. It's too much. Just get a bathrobe. You can tie it on nice.
Bathrobe. Big hack.
Bathrobe. That's
big
it.
Hack.
Huge
bathrobe. Hack. Huge hack. I don't know why no one ever told me in my first season to invest in a bathrobe. But bathrobe, honestly, game changer.
Massive. Me and Autumn had ones from Linen Reform, top quality, really nice and thick, plush. Fantastic. I use that thing religiously. It was amazing.
Yeah. You don't need a dry robe. I mean, dry robes are great.
They're great, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
You can get by with a regular ass bathrobe.
Yeah.
Again, shout out to Linen Reform. They make top quality products, sustainably sourced. Can't say enough good things about them. Hashtag not an ad. But yeah, another hack that
get you through the 100 days. Yeah.
I never really implemented the first year of dipping. And also, I just want to say, this is only our second season of dipping, and we embarked on a 100-day mission, which is also absurd.
I think
we had only done like a year, and I say a year, but really the season's only a couple of months. So like for us to take on 100 days, like our second time around, a lot of people are like, "You sure?" Like, yeah, be all right, figure it out. But a big hack that I saw and took from other people, Thomas always has like a water bladder.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. You fill it up with boiling water before you leave, and then what he does is he wraps all his stuff that he's going to get into after all his clothes around the bottle. So then it keeps all his clothes warm, so they don't freeze, so they don't get cold. Or you can bring like a thermos of like, I wouldn't say boiling because it's going to melt your skin off, but like I would do it to like, you know, a lukewarm temperature, just warm enough to like bring feeling back to your hands. And I would just bring a little like thermos of hot water that you can pour on your feet, you can pour on your hands to just kind of bring that blood flow back. And that made a world of difference, because when your hands are cold or you can't feel them, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like you're not functional.
That's really the panic. I think.
Yeah.
It's like, so I would say it's hard to get to the lake. It's hard to get into the lake, but it's hardest to get out of the lake and get dressed.
Yeah.
Because people think you're in fight or flight when you're in the water. You are 100%, but you can eventually regulate. And once you're regulated in the water, you're good. But then when you come back out of the water, that's when you're in another fight or flight stage. And this time you're not just sitting in the water, you're getting dressed. So you are actually problem solving while being completely in a panic. And your hands hurt, your feet hurt, your body's exposed to the elements. You got all your stuff laying around, and now you have to make a decision. Okay, do I put my sweater on? Where do I dry? What do I do? So developing a routine for getting out of the water was so key to getting through the 100 days. It's because like I had that peace of mind of knowing like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do when I'm going to get out of the water. And I know exactly how long it's going to take. Because after like, 20 days of doing it, I knew exactly how long it would take to do everything.
It took a while to get like dialed in.
Yeah.
But I think another pro tip that we didn't touch on is having proper footwear to put on afterwards.
Yes. The number of people that don't own boots in Toronto is crazy.
And we're talking like, like boots. When you were a kid and you had like the big ass winter boots.
Yes.
We're talking those.
You need winter boots, guys.
You're not there to make a fashion statement. You're there to survive.
Yes. Okay.
And I can talk to this because, man, I don't have winter boots. So I'm wearing Timbs. I'm wearing Vans. I'm wearing just I got winterized Vans. Useless. I might as well be wearing tissue paper on my feet because they don't do shit. So winter boots.
Seriously though,
something I'm going to be investing in going into
I kind of want to rant
next
on
season.
That.
Bro,
I want to rant on how are you living in Canada and don't own a pair of real winter boots? Like, how are you getting through the winter? I don't understand it. Like, people are pulling up to the lake sometimes in like running shoes, and I'm like,
That's
Dude.
that's me. That's me. Fucking,
Dude.
I'm like, I guess I'm gonna be after this.
It's snowing. It's snowing. You're wearing Air Force Ones, and then you're about to use those to warm your feet up. I mean, good luck.
And also, like, you know, with Tim's or just anything with laces, how you gonna do up your shoes, bro? The laces freeze half the time.
You want the big boots that are rated for like -30, -40
that you can just slip your feet into.
You just slide them on, and that is like, honestly, the feeling of getting your foot back into a warm boot, a warm, nice, toasty boot.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So that's something I need to invest in.
Please buy boots
this season. I'm gonna get some boots.
Please buy winter boots.
If anyone has any recommendations, Hassan, I'm sure you have some. But
honestly, my recommendation is find a boot that's rated for -40 and put it on.
That's it.
And you're gonna realize how much harder, you were living prior to boot life.
No, for real, because I know the difference just having neoprene boots made. So I can only imagine like what actual boots, what difference that'll make.
Yeah, with wool socks. That's my combo.
Yeah, wool socks. So like, okay, I just got onto like the wool sock game just in general. Hold on, because like went camping a few weeks ago and I had to invest in some wool socks, whatever. I just want to shout out socks that come with instructions. Like my socks are labeled left and right foot.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the best thing that's ever happened to socks. I didn't know this was a thing. Bro, my socks say left and right on them. So you know what foot to, I'm going to show you right now.
I know, bro.
Right foot, left foot. You never put the wrong sock on again. Bro, this is the biggest thing.
You don't think it's a scam?
Bro, I didn't know this was a thing. No, because the sock is shaped different. You never have it where you put on socks.
Is the sock shaped different though?
Bro, are your feet not shaped different?
My feet are, but I don't know if the sock is.
Bro.
It's marketing,
bro. I'm telling you. Sometimes you be putting on socks that I'm telling you, man.
Are the right and left socks legit?
I'm telling you, I didn't think it was a thing. I was like, who needs instructions to put on socks? Bro, I'm so grateful.
Your life has changed?
When I put on socks that don't have instructions, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
This
is no man's land.
Ryan is all in on the left and right
bro,
socks.
Socks with instructions. Get after it. But anyways, wool socks.
Wool socks, fire.
Amazing. Game changer.
Fire. Super fire. I mean, it's funny because I was like, oh, this is a hack. There's so many hacks. The hacks are unlimited. There's so, like, the more you go, the more you're like, oh, I could tweak this a little bit and it's going to make my life like 15%
bro,
better.
You want it? So it got to the point. So Autumn didn't do 100 days, but she did the other ship 31-day challenge.
Yeah.
Leading up to New Year's. And, or did it start New Year's? No, it started New Year's. Yeah. And went into, I don't know.
Who cares?
Doesn't matter. I think it was leading up to New Year's. Who knows? Who cares? It was 31 days. Shout out to her for doing that. But what we started doing, because we live in Parkdale, so we're not far from Humber Bay. It's like with no traffic, 10, 15-minute drive. We would leave the house in our dip kits with the robe on.
Yeah. So
from car to lake to car, we had that down in under 10 minutes. And then you go, you disrobe, get in the water, put the robe back on, get in the car, drive home. Yeah. Heated seats, you're golden. Good. Jump in a hot shower, whatever you want to do after. But it was just like, that was such a hack because for me, the longer I spend outside pre-dip, the harder it is to dip and then also get dressed because the more exposure you have to the elements, the cold air, the wind, the snow, whatever it may be, the harder it is for your body to regulate, especially after sitting in the water for 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So like making it the process as streamlined as possible, or even just like getting changed in your car if you can, and then going down to the water and doing what you have to do and coming out. But like that was a huge game changer. Again, like bathrobes make that so easy.
Yeah. The bathrobes are huge. I think that would be it in terms of like hacks, like things you could buy to make your life easier, or things that you should invest in. If you're doing 100 days, you should invest in these things. If you're 100%. Doing 2-3 days, like obviously you can get by. But if you just want to try, it's a different situation. But anyone who's like, oh, how can I accomplish the 100 days? We're giving you kind of like all the experience points we gained in the 100 days. I would tell you those are the items you should have, you should invest in, and super worth it.
Items, for sure. That's
like a bathrobe, $100. Good boots, $120.
Bro, I think like $500 all in.
Yeah.
And that's going to last you
forever. And you're going to use the winter boots more than just dipping.
100%. Yeah, these are all practical things. Wool socks. I mean, you can use those anytime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like all these things, I mean, aside from the water bladder, if you want to invest in that, which you can get from the dollar store for a couple bucks anyways.
Yeah.
Everything else you're going to use.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. 300 to 400 bucks. You'll have a very solid foundation.
Yeah.
That's going to make everything a lot easier for you. Now, in terms of the mental, where did you feel like how did you overcome resistance? Like the mind chatter, like the number of days I would wake up at 5, stand in my bedroom and just stare at the floor and be like, why am I awake right now? Like literally like not like
yeah. No.
Like why wait. I know I have to do something, but what is it? And then I just developed this thing in my head where it was just like next step. That's all I would tell myself. Next step. Next step. I wake up, I'll be like, okay, next step. I go to the washroom, next step. Pick up the bag. Next step, get dressed. Next step, get out the door. Next step, get in the car. Next step, drive to the lake. Next step, get undressed. Yeah. It would literally be like, but it would be so much more. It would be like, take your sweater off. Take your undershirt off. Take the pants off. Like step literally next step, next step, next step, next step, next step until I'm in the water, and it's the same thing back out. Next step, next step, next step, next step.
That's actually hilarious.
Until I'm back into my car, and then I'm like, all right,
dude,
it's done.
That's so funny. For me, it was, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about the steps per se. And shout out to Chris, because he called me out on my bullshit early on in the challenge.
Yeah.
I was looking for a tub to get at the place and have just have like easy access to a tub, and like I have a gym membership where they have cold plunges, and you know, I go to other ship all the time.
You're trying to find a workaround.
And the unbounded well was a thing. You know, they had an outdoor kind of cold exposure setup thing with saunas. I was just trying to be like comfortably uncomfortable, and I was just like, what's the easiest way for me to get this done? Because driving to the lake was annoying. This is what I was telling myself. Yo, Chris doesn't even drive, and he was making it to the lake. So for me to sit here and be like, oh, it's annoying to go to the lake, ridiculous. So he called me out on my shit. Shout out to Chris. Appreciate you for that. And it's also because we had a group chat. So like the 4 of us were always checking in and like, yo, you going today? Where you at? Like this. So like having that kind of support group. But he challenged me to get outside and do it in nature, because it's way more profound and way more challenging, and it changes things. And had he not done that, I think my experience would have been a lot different, because it would have just been the easy route. I'm just going to do it in the backyard. I'm just going to go inside. I'm just going to go do it here, because I don't have to really deal with all the elements and all the things that come with it. But like, I got to say, man, getting outside, and we didn't have a lot of sunrises.
Oh, no.
This winter was just, I don't know what happened to the sun, but it just disappeared.
Let's just put the stats in. We did 100 consecutive days. Yeah. I can safely say I was doing them at sunrise. I think if I'm being generous, 15, maximum 20.
Yeah.
Like that's being generous.
Yeah.
20 days where the sun was out. And if you want like a clear sunrise, maybe 2. I'm not even joking. Maybe 2. The rest of them were like, there's still clouds. The sun is peeking out behind the clouds. Still beautiful.
Yeah.
But literally, I would say like clear, like you see the sun come up over the horizon. Maybe 2 or 3 max.
Yeah. It's crazy. Absolutely wild.
Yeah. But I will say this, the consecutive days of cloudiness that will affect your mood. That will put you in a lower vibration. That will absolutely make you feel shitty. But getting out to the lake and exposing, even though the sun is not there, you're still getting the benefits of sun exposure. Game changer. Absolute game changer. Like I could see people around me like turning into sloths and like literally like their energy is just so low.
Yeah.
They haven't seen the sun in, like, there was a point where it was a month straight of no sun in the city. A month straight, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A 30-day stretch, no sunlight. And you could see people just, and my energy was just.
Well, there's something to say about that. So like I noticed the days I went to the lake in the morning completely shifted my entire outlook on the day, the energy levels, my productivity. because like you're doing the hardest thing possible first thing in the morning. And for me, it was usually combined with the workout. So I was going to the gym at like 5 a.m., crushing a workout, then going to the lake for sunrise.
Yes.
So I've already done 2 really hard things.
Yeah. So
and then I'm starting my day.
Yeah.
Before most people are even rolling out of bed, I'm already having coffee. I'm doing breath work. I'm journaling. I'm doing all my thing. Like I was like, yo, like I'm on one. But the days where I left it till the end of the day, bro, not only like was I exhausted, I was like, I don't want to do this. It makes the dip so much harder because your body's already on a
I don't think you're not reaping the benefits as much as
not even a little bit, man. Not even a little bit. It's honestly the night and day difference. If you're going to do cold exposure, do it in the morning. First thing, cold shower, whatever you're going to do it for. Also, cold showers did not count. Yeah. Just want to put that out there. You had to submerge the nipples. That was
debate was nipples and neck. We ended on nipples.
Yeah.
I will say I did neck every single time. Not to brag, but
listen.
Huberman says neck. I'm doing neck. Shout out to Andrew Huberman.
Yeah,
that guy is sainted. Saint Huberman. Yeah. So that's huge. Like not exposing yourself, getting out to the lake, getting some natural sun. Huge. Because in the wintertime, you're not
huge.
We're not going outside. We're not going outside to hang out. We're not doing anything. So this was literally the routine that allowed me to spend more time in nature in a situation where I would typically be cooped up indoors and hiding from sunlight,
bro,
which is horrible for you. It is absolutely horrible for you. It messes up your hormones. It messes up your sleep.
Your circadian rhythm's way off.
Yeah.
Way off. Yeah.
That's why like all of a sudden people are like, oh, I eat so bad in the wintertime. It's because your hormones are all messed up.
Right.
your whole natural rhythm is gone. It's been destroyed.
Yeah.
And that's typically people like you cycle. You get into a bad cycle, you just keep cycling downwards. So it was beautiful to have that practice in the morning, in the lake, whether or not the sun was there. I mean, obviously I would have preferred the sun, but whether or not the sun was there, it was still such a powerful practice that allowed me to have more space. I don't know how to put this, more positive space in my life.
Right.
Less things bothered me. I had more resilience.
Well, that's a huge benefit of cold exposure. So it does completely shift your stress tolerance. So things that used to stress you out will no longer stress you out because you're doing something way more stressful than sitting in traffic. When you're in a body of cold water and you're literally in fight or flight, when you sit in traffic now, you're like, this ain't nothing. Like I've done this. Like what am I even getting worked up about? Right. Yeah. So it makes your stress tolerance way higher.
Yeah, maybe we should get into like the actual mechanics
or the
actual mechanics of how the stress, like what's going on a physical level when we're in the water that now translates to the rest of your life. We know that once you enter the cold water, you're getting an increase of norepinephrine, which is another word for adrenaline. How do you say say it?
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline. I can't say it, bro. Adrenaline.
There you go.
So you're getting a big dump of norepinephrine,
which is all like the feel-good chemical, if you want to call it that.
Norepinephrine is adrenaline. It's shock. It's the precursor to your dopamine.
Sorry, norepinephrine.
That's
very similar.
Yes.
Norepinephrine is the feel-good chemical.
Yes. So once you get in the water, you're getting that dumped into your system. Now, I want people to think about it. What are other situations where you feel totally amped up like that, where there's a big dump of norepinephrine into your body? Situations where you're stressed. You're sitting in traffic, someone cuts you off. Boom, your heart rate is jacked, your breath is shallow. You're in a situation where you feel like you might be in some danger. Boom, your heart rate is jacked up. Your breath is shallow. Your pupils have constricted. You're in a situation that's stressful. So, take that. So think about those moments. Now, what you're doing is when you're getting in the cold water is you are simulating the exact same response that you would have in every other stressful situation in your life. Therefore, you're essentially working out your stress response.
Right.
So now that I've woke up at 5, dragged my ass to the lake, got in freezing cold water, got back out, got dressed, went home, got ready for work, I'm already ready. like you can't stress me out. Like
No,
it has to be
no.
a freaking situation that's out of control.
And even then, you're not going to react like you maybe would have. And because when you're in the water and you're dealing with that stressful situation and you're like you have to focus on your breath and regulate yourself. Now, when you're faced with these situations that would otherwise trigger you, you're already trained on how to respond and react. So you just take a couple of deep breaths and you're like, oh, I'm good.
You're aware.
Yeah, you're aware.
You're like,
completely aware of what's happening.
Oh, I'm getting stressed out right now.
Yeah,
I know the sensation.
I know the sensation. Feel it in your body.
I know exactly what's happening right now. Oh, my boss is asking me a very stressful question. Oh, I feel it creeping up.
Mm.
Oh, but I'm so used to this. I've already been doing this for 80 days straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slow down.
Mm.
It's like a superpower.
It is. 100%.
It's literally a superpower. So that is like how I explain it to people at like the most basic level. Like that is what you're doing. You're training yourself for stress, essentially.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah. And I mean,
like magic, guys. Like you would not believe, like I would used to, like someone would cut me off in traffic and that would sit with me all day.
Mm.
Now it's like a blip. Like I'm not like a saint. Like I'll get pissed off. I'll be like, well, this fucking guy, who does he think he is? But like, that's just, it dissipates very quickly.
Yeah.
I catch myself. I'm like, what am I doing?
Because you're more aware of it.
Yes.
You're way more aware of it.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It just,
like building that mental resiliency is so key, especially now we live in a world where you don't need that much mental resiliency to get by. Like it is what it is. That's what living in 2023.
Very comfortable life we have.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. And we all should be grateful for that. But you need to be aware that the comfort is what's making you miserable.
Mm.
The reason you're getting everything so easy, that's why you always feel so miserable. Because, and St. Huberman says this, I'm just going to call him St. Huberman from now on. St. Huberman says that dopamine is not the hormone of happy. Dopamine is actually the hormone of more. Dopamine just wants more dopamine.
Well, of course.
Exactly. So like whenever you're getting dopamine hits, you just want more dopamine. And that's why you never feel satisfied.
Right.
Because when you're on your phone scrolling, you're getting dopamine.
More.
There's no point where it's like, okay, I've had enough happiness. It's more so like, I need more happiness.
Yeah.
And, when you live in lack and a mentality of lack, you're always going to feel like you don't have enough.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately that feels like misery.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what we were talking about, but I think I made a pretty good point.
I think we were just getting into like some of the benefits of like what cold exposure actually does for you and like how it builds mental resiliency and all that. But and
I would say that is like across the community. No one is going to tell you, oh man, the anti-inflammatory benefits are crazy, which I mean, they are. But
they are. Well, I mean, there's so many other benefits to it. It helps boost your metabolism. It helps with the production of brown fat when you go through thermogenesis, and brown fat helps regulate your core temperature better. So you want more brown fat than white fat.
Yes.
It's just
increases the number of mitochondria.
And of course. And you're able to tolerate cold temperatures better because you're building up this layer of brown fat around your vital organs. So now when you're exposed to cold weather conditions, or I used to hate the cold, and now it's just like whatever, like it doesn't faze me at all because I've built up this resiliency and my body's used to it.
Yeah.
And it's not that it ever gets easier, but you know what to expect. If that makes sense. Like your body's like, oh, I know I'm not going to die.
Yes.
So I can kind of ease into it. Cause like
I don't need to panic.
People watch us who might be first timers or like just walking down the beach and they look at you like you're crazy because you just disrobe, go into the water, come back. Like it's nothing.
It's minus 15. People are in their parkas.
But you're just used to it. Yeah. So like it's just like with anything. The more you do it,
get easier.
No.
You get stronger.
Exactly. Your body gets more resilient and you reap the benefits every time you do it, which is the best part. Because it's never like you plateau. It's every time you get in the cold water, you get the same benefit over and over. So that's one of the amazing things about it, right? It's just like working out. Every time you work out, you're getting the benefits of that. There's few things where like you get the max benefit every time you do it, right? Eventually there's like a point of like diminishing returns, but with this one, it's just like every time you do it,
I will say this, cold exposure is by far the cheapest, most accessible, most effective form of mental health care you can do. There is nothing I have tried. Like you could say exercise is great. Spending time outside is great. There is nothing, I have not tried anything that can compare to cold exposure in terms of building like good mental health. There's nothing I have tried that has really impacted my mental health like cold exposure. And I'm not here to say that, you know, if you're suffering from mental health issues, all you need is some cold water. I will say this though,
Well,
it's definitely gonna help. Like it will. There's not a chance it won't make whatever it is you're going through better. So I think we can leave it at that for the benefits.
Yeah, I think so. I think we touched on a lot of the things. I mean, if you want to really in depth like look into the benefits, go listen to Andrew Huberman's podcast on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 2 hours long, and he goes into all the science and data and research behind it. But like just as a surface level, just know it's incredible for you. You feel great. Also, like it made the winter go by way faster.
Oh yeah.
Getting outside also, I never spent that much time outside during the winter.
Yeah.
And being not forced, but like willingly going outside completely changed my perspective on winter in general.
Yeah.
Used to hate it, used to loathe it. Now it's just like I embrace it.
Yeah.
So again, that's just another benefit of it. It's just getting you outside and getting you closer to nature, because as we know, nature is underrated. Yes. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, seriously. Like people are like, oh, I live in the city, no nature. No, there's plenty of nature. It's nature already. Outside. Outside is nature.
Yeah. Hey,
so,
come on.
A tree, nature.
Yeah.
Water, nature. So sunrise, nature.
All right.
So you can use all those elements to really just boost your mental health hygiene, I would call it.
Yeah.
Like to have a better hygiene routine around keeping your mind clear of all those cobwebs that inevitably build up in our minds. I think as terms of benefits, that's pretty thorough. Next, we're going to talk about, we could say most challenging dip.
Yeah. Let's get into that one. I'll let you lead this one out.
Okay, most challenging dip. So, okay, I'll say the most challenging dip ever. This is before the 100 days. And this would make a really good clip because I have some of the footage. It's amazing. Most challenging dip ever was, I believe, January 2021 or 2022. January 2022. Yeah, January 2022. Yeah, this is before we met. I was dipping with David and Lorna at Cherry Beach.
Oh, so you're first? This like one of your first?
This is my second time going to Cherry Beach.
Yeah.
And Cherry Beach was frozen, which I didn't even know happened. I didn't even know that the lake freezes here. So Cherry Beach has like this thin layer of ice on it. We're there. No, it's like pre-axe days. I didn't pack an axe with me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm wearing my Timbs. I'm wearing shitty Roots sweatpants and no neoprene socks. And David is there. David and Lorna are there. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, like I can't turn back. Literally, I'm just like, I cannot turn back. Even though there was some conversation about how can we get in the water, blah, blah, blah. And it seemed like for a second that we were all going to walk away from it. And then David finds this big Gandalf staff, bro. And I have the video of it. So it looks
amazing. Amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah. He has this big Gandalf staff. He walks into the water and he just starts breaking the ice. And I'm just standing there like, holy shit, I can't believe we're about to do this. You know? And this was a day, it was like minus 25. It was ridiculous. It was like a ridiculous temperature. Smashes all the ice. You know, I'm going in there barefoot, Cherry Beach. Like the rocks are horrible. But like just breaking that resistance of, you know, finding a way to break through the ice, finding a way to get in the water, actually having the courage to take my clothes off in minus 20, 25 degree weather and getting into the water. That was by far the most challenging dip I've ever done. And it was the dip that I always look back to as evidence of my resiliency, my strength, my ability to overcome. And it's what fueled me to take on the whole journey from that day onward. I was like,
interesting.
Today I'm at a crossroads. I'm going to go to my car, guys. It's crazy. Or I'm going to get into this water.
I like that.
Yeah. So that was most challenging ever. And I had to put it out there because I think it's going to make a dope clip.
It's all about the clips.
Yeah. But this season.
Yeah. During the 100 days.
This season, the most challenging dip. Okay. There was a huge snowstorm the night prior. And I noticed this trend during the 100 days is any day that there's a snowstorm before, like if there's a snowstorm coming, the lake is fine. The day after a snowstorm, the lake is insane.
And again, why? That makes no sense. There's no wind. There's
no
nothing.
wind. It's
But
like
the lake is just a monster.
It's a monster. The day after a storm, the lake is insane. I remember walking. I was down the street from Beaches Hot Yoga. I did my yoga class. I came out. It wasn't that cold. It wasn't that windy. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be a chill day. I get down to the boardwalk. The tide is basically at the boardwalk. So if you've ever been down there, you know how far I'm talking about. Like, you're talking about like at least 20 feet further than where it usually is.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
So, and I'm seeing waves that are curling. Like, you don't see waves curling at a lake.
No.
And I'm just like, oh man, how am I gonna do this today? Like, this is the wildest I've ever seen the lake. And I'm just like, well, there's only one way to do it, and that's to get in the water, right?
That's it.
Like, I could go home, but like, what am I gonna do then? Like, I just gotta get in the water.
Right.
So, you know, I'm undressing. People are looking at me like, what the fuck? This lady walks by. She's like, good luck. I get in there and I'm just, guys, I'm 6'5", 220 pounds. When I'm telling you I'm getting tossed around the water, I'm getting tossed around the water. You know, I'm just like, the current is coming. It's going over my head. I'm trying to stand up. The sand is getting sucked back into the lake from under me. So that, I think, was very challenging, just in terms of, you have that, it's dangerous. So your mind is making up a whole ton of excuses, like just go home, go to other ship later, go to the well. Like, it's a great day to make an excuse. But overcame that. And then actually, like, being in the water and getting assaulted by, because people are thinking, waves. It's freezing cold water.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, it's
freezing cold water slapping you in the head.
The ocean and a tropical climate.
It's miserable.
It's different.
It's miserable. Like, getting hit in the head with cold water.
Yeah.
Is by far the most fight or flight thing. I don't know how to word this properly, but like, whenever my head would get hit with cold water, it was like I'm in panic mode.
It's like
I
a
think
reset.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like a short circuit. Like, your body's like, wait, what just happened?
I would feel like,
like,
I don't know what, I'd feel some shit in my neck. Like, it would feel like my whole neck is tightening up and my head is just, so it was like very challenging in that regard. And the thing is, there was a lot of days like that this winter. There was a lot of like big wavy days.
Yeah. The days like those, other shit. Or the well. Like, I would see your stories, like you, Tom's. I'm like,
you would check our stories and be like, okay, I guess I'm
going indoors today.
Honestly, like, the thing is with me is like, because the yoga studio is so close to the water, it was always just a routine to walk down the road. And I was just like, I got to do it now.
You're already there.
I'm already here.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're home and you check and you're like, I can make another plan. Like, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about for you?
Okay. So I think my most challenging dip, I'll give one before the 100 days and then one during the 100 days. It was before the 100 days. Had my holiday. So yeah, holiday work party for one of the companies I work with, and maybe had a couple of drinks, then stayed up late. But I told Thomas and other guys that I would be there the next day. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'd do it. So maybe a little bit hungover because I don't really drink that often anymore, and was up late, later than usual, way later than usual. So I had a couple hours of sleep, woke up not feeling like, I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this, but I said, I'm going to do it. Bro, it was sunny outside. It was cold, but it was sunny. It wasn't even that like wavy, but there's a video of it where you just see me getting like, it's the only time where I got in the water and I was like, I do not want to be here. And Thomas is like, just come a bit further. I didn't have boots at this time. And I'm like, man, the rocks, I don't know. It was a spot we don't usually dip at. And he's like, bro, just come further because the waves are you're going to get it. And I was like, no, I'm just going to sit down. This is good enough. And you just watch me get washed down the shore, just pummeled. I'm rolling over until it literally beaches me. And I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to say is like, people don't realize how painful that is. It's actually extremely painful to get tossed around in cold water.
Dude. And like sitting down was the dumbest thing I could have done because now the waves are just smacking me at face level. And it literally just like rolled me out of the water. It just beached me. And I was like, I hate my life.
Yeah. You're like, well, I guess the lake doesn't want me to be here today.
Yeah, it was honestly such like a humbling moment because I was like, I've been doing this and I just got assaulted. And I just, I looked like I had no idea what I was doing. I got embarrassed by the lake. And I was just like, well, now you know. You need to stay prepared. You can't be behaving in that manner if you're trying to live this lifestyle. You kind of have to make some changes.
That's a good point to make,
because you can't have it both ways. You can't be treating your body like trash and then going to do something positive the next day, because your body's gonna be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing here?
It just doesn't. It doesn't fit into the routine.
It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense.
You're setting yourself up to
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you feel refreshed and amazing after.
I mean, best hangover.
But like
here.
during it was just like, man, I was embarrassed. Like, I literally was embarrassed by the lake.
Yeah.
And like people, I mean, everyone got a good laugh out of it. It was hilarious. But that was just like pre the 100 days. And I was just like, man, I really don't ever want to experience this again. So like, I knew I had to like make smarter choices leading into it.
Yeah.
Now, during the 100 days, there was the 11:55 p.m. dip that almost didn't happen. So Autumn and I were up in Deep River, which is, if you don't know, on the other side of Algonquin, like north of Algonquin. It's about a 5-hour drive from Toronto. And it's I guess it's like it's a really cool property. It's situated on the Ottawa River. So you're across the river, you're looking at the Laurentian Mountains.
Anupaya, right?
Anupaya.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Anupaya, beautiful property.
Never been, but
beautiful,
I saw the videos.
Amazing people. Just a great time. And while we were there, the river hadn't frozen yet. The whole thing hadn't frozen yet. So there was like some slush and everything you had to break through, and like a thin layer of ice to kind of sit in it. And it was getting like progressively colder and colder. And on the last day we were there, for whatever reason, we didn't dip in the morning, which was a mistake.
Big mistake.
Huge mistake. I think because the water had frozen over a bit, we're like, let's just give it some time. It might dissipate a bit and we can do it before we leave. Huge mistake, because you're out in the wilderness. As soon as it gets dark, it's dark.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, well, shit, I need to dip.
And it's getting dark at like 4.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting dark. It's, dead of winter.
Like
and I was like, man, like I didn't plan this out. It's a 5-hour drive back. I messaged the guys. I was like, yo, like, can I bury myself in snow? What about this? What about that? And all Thomas said was find a way. And I was like, oh, you motherfucker. So like, I go down to the lake. I literally have my tripod in my hand. I'm trying to break through the ice. No luck. It's frozen solid. I asked the property owner, I'm like, yo, like, is there an axe that's locked up in the shed and we're not around? I was like, I'm like, all right, what do I do? I'm like, Autumn, what are we going to do? She's like, this is a you thing. She's like, I don't know. And I think she was also doing the 31-day challenge at this time. So she was still trying to do it, but she was like, honestly, at this point, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's a lot less, like, for us, it was like a charity-based like thing. Like, it was like there's like spectators.
Yeah, it was just like, we're documenting it every day and we're really like trying to be about it. And I was like, I can't not do it. Like, I can't live this down if I don't do it. So I'm like, okay. We went to a different spot along the river, frozen. I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. It was like 7 p.m. at this time, getting close to 8. And I'm like, man, I'm really running out of time here. And I remember looking up, I'm like, okay, to Humber Bay, I'm not going to make it. I'm like, where's a beach along the drive where I can stop and get a dip in, pull up the map, and I see Coburg Beach. I'm like, I've been there before.
Yeah.
I can make it there in time. So then it became like a race against the clock. I'm driving down back roads. I've never been down before. It's pitch black. Autumn's passed out. I'm just like, focused.
Laser focused.
Man, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, we just gotta get there. We get about like an hour away and I'm starting to fade. Yeah. I'm getting tired. I'm like, I had to wake her. I'm like, I need like, I need you. Yeah. I need you. And like, we were still like in the boonies. So like, it was still like about 30 minutes till we got to like civilization, at least like the highway. As soon as we got there, I was like, gas station, anything and everything with caffeine. I think I dropped like $40 on energy drinks, Any sort of chocolate with caffeine, like anything, bro. I was just anything and everything. Put it in my system.
Yeah.
I need to stay awake. I need to get this done. Make it to the beach at like 11:45, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go scout it out, see if it's doable. And normally, like, it's about, I don't know, maybe 100. No, that's generous. Maybe like 50 meters to the water of like beach.
Yeah.
And like I look out and I'm like, man, I don't see the water.
Yeah. It's so dark.
I'm like, no, it's just like the lake had frozen so much that the beach just looked like it went forever. It looked like I was staring out into the desert. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I was like jogging at this point to try and find the edge of the water. I'm like, where does it end?
Yeah.
Like, where is the actual water? Get there, see, okay, there's like the ice stops and now there's water. No idea how deep the water is.
Yeah.
Because it's just frozen up to this point. So I could be getting into 10-foot water, could be getting into like 2 inches of water. No idea.
Yeah.
There's just waves. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what it is. Grab Autumn from the car. I'm like, we got to go.
Yeah.
By the time we got undressed, it was like 11:55.
Boom.
Got in the water, made it happen. It ended up being super shallow. Like we jumped in and it was like up to like our ankles. And I'm like,
lay down.
So now you got to walk in, you got to like lay down and get all awkward with it. But we did it. Stupidly, we didn't wait until 12 and do another dip to double dip.
Who said that? Who
that's
gave me
that's
that
the best hack. I don't know. Someone mentioned it like, yo, why don't you just dip at midnight every night and then you just roll it over into the next day? So you're literally only doing 50 dips. Genius. Genius. And I mean, it might fuck with your sleep a bit, but that's such a good technique.
Yeah.
Because I did that at New Year's. Did a dip before and then a dip after. I'm like, I'm done 2 days. Just like that. Boom. Don't even have to think about it. So that was like the hardest one just because like you're driving for
the amount of resistance,
4.5 hours, almost 5 hours just to get to the beach. Then you have to get all your stuff. I had the dip kits ready, but like you got to walk out to the beach. It's like 150 meters. It's cold. It's got to set up lights so you can see what you're doing because it's dark. You don't want to be dipping in the dark.
Don't know the land.
Don't know anything. Just this is the spot.
All the unknowns.
I found a body of water. I got to get in it. That's it. So that was like the hardest one, but like doing that dip. Well, and that was like pretty early on.
I feel like that was in the first month.
That wasn't even like, I don't even think we were 25 deep at that point.
No, I don't think so. We were still early.
It was early.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I can do this, I can do anything. Like this, I made it happen.
Yeah.
I can make anything happen. I got sick during the 100 days. Those were challenging too. I mean, I wouldn't say they were as challenging. It was a little hard to breathe, and having a fever while dipping isn't really the best thing. But like that one, just like getting to the lake and making all the things that happen.
Yeah, it was like the resistance. There was the amount of things that you have to overcome just to get into the water, which is already hard.
Crazy.
Getting in the water is hard.
Crazy.
But then you got the drive and
it's chasing it, right? And then that's what we were talking about earlier. Is like if you can get it done first thing in the morning, then you don't have to think about it. My drive home would have been so much more relaxed.
Oh yeah, your whole day.
Had I just done it in the morning, or found out that the river was frozen and be like, okay,
let's plan for that.
What can we do?
Yeah.
Let's find a body of water nearby where we can address this, get this done. And then we can drive home, go straight home, unpack, and just be done with it. Instead, it added a whole nother layer of complexity to the trip. And like, it was just, chaos.
Yeah.
But that was definitely like the hardest one during the 100 days.
All right. I think that covers challenging. You want to do most rewarding? I had a lot of nice ones.
And most rewarding. I mean, they were all like,
they're all pretty
again,
rewarding.
like when you're doing
I think actually, the one that was really special, 98. 98 was really, really special. It was such a different kind of day. Like we went to CP24 that day. We had our CP24 interview. I was wearing the leprechaun hat.
Yeah.
Remember? It was raining.
Wait, is this the interview? That was 98?
Yeah, the day CP24, that was day 98. Remember?
Oh shit. Okay, yeah.
That
was my birthday. Yeah, St. Patty's Day. Yeah,
that was a really that was a really rewarding dip. We had gone to CP24.
Yeah.
We all met up at the TV station. Like what was it, like 6:30 in the morning?
Yeah, it was early.
We did our interview. Then I think we went to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Then we went to the lake, and it was just like the energy was so high.
It's crazy, man.
We were all like, A, we were like right at the finish line.
Yeah.
B, we just did a nice interview on local TV, which was an amazing experience in and of itself. And it was raining.
But none of that mattered because we were all together.
We were just like, let's go.
It was crazy. And it's crazy. Like literally a week before that, all the news stations started picking up what we were doing.
Yeah.
The entire 90 days prior, nobody gave a shit about anything. Nobody talked about it. Nobody, within the community, people are like, oh, good for you guys, whatever. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one news station picked it up, and then it just caught like wildfire. And it was like, what is happening?
I was like, whoa, okay, I guess that's how it works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That was probably the most
that would be
rewarding
my
one.
favorite, my most favorite.
100%.
It had the little leprechaun hat going. It was Ryan's birthday.
Yeah, it was a good one, man.
We had a great morning, and it was just I just remember being soaked after all my clothes were soaked because we had dressed nice that day. I'd wear jeans and a belt.
Yeah, we were not prepared for a dip.
I remember all my clothes were just soaking wet, and I just went home and I was like, "Oh man, that was fun."
Yeah, that was
typically I'd have been like, "Fuck that," but
that was a great day. And I just remember, we got back at it was still 9 a.m.
Yeah, it was like 9.
I'm like, bro,
we're like, wow,
we did so much today.
Already a full day.
The day just started. Yeah, that was crazy.
I think let's talk a little bit about the fundraising part of it. We ended up raising $8,500 all in, which was enough to help 17 different families. And I think, up to this point in the podcast, even during the journey, that was, I knew it was happening. We all knew it was happening. The GoFundMe was growing every single day, but it didn't really feel real. It didn't really feel like it was happening till we had that. We sat down with the social workers from Canadian Training Institute, and we were reviewing some of the applications and really listening to people's stories and just hearing hey, this guy, he's 23 years old. He has a child. He's in and out of the system, and he's trying to stay on the straight and narrow. This $500 could do so much for him. Is really going to help him with keeping the heat on, even maybe getting some food. And just really, it reinvigorates people. It gives them hope, right? A lot of people who are living in those situations are like, fuck, the world doesn't care about me.
Right. Yeah.
And just for them to receive love from strangers, which is what the money is. It's essentially just love from strangers, total strangers, is enough to, it's impactful as money for sure. But I think the fact that them getting help from someone they don't know is really powerful for them to kind of have that boost in positive energy where they feel not so hopeless. Because as we all know, your mental state is dictating everything you go through your whole life, right? If you're living in a dark place, you could be in a room full of people who are having a great time, but you're still going to be in that dark place.
Yeah.
But I think that was huge. Just listening to all those stories, hey, there's this, I think we had a 17-year-old who just got kicked out of her house. She was living in an abusive household. She needed the money. It was crazy to actually hear the stories. About this.
Yeah.
We all hear about it. Oh, these things are happening.
But out of sight, out of mind, right? Until it's you're forced to listen to it or hear about it and be like, oh shit. Because $500 to you or I, we work full time, we do side hustles. That's whatever. But for someone who's going through something like that, or someone who just recently immigrated here and they literally have no family support, they're trying to put themselves through school.
They're running away from persecution. I think we had one that literally ran away from their home country because they're being persecuted back home. Now they're here on their own.
And it's crazy. You hear that, it's just oh, fuck. It kind of puts things into perspective, right? Yeah. And makes you realize okay, this was the right call. And 500 might not seem like a lot, but to these people, it's everything.
Yeah.
And just,
that was a really real moment.
Yeah.
That's when it was all wow, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're actually doing this.
Because when you're in the water and you're okay, this sucks, but yeah.
But no, when you're doing 100 days, you're so focused on the 100 days.
Right. It's getting the thing done. You're not really thinking about anything else because you're in your own fucking struggle, your own battle.
Even though every day I'd come on the story and be 100-day hydro this day, it didn't
click. Yeah.
None of the stuff clicked till we were sitting there and we're talking to social workers and I'm like,
what is happening?
Wow. This is crazy. And I get to say yes or no to people.
Yeah, it's just again, we did have a form for them to fill out.
There were
certain stipulations, did you miss a hydro payment and stuff because it is about
what's the household
hydro,
income?
Yeah, obviously, there were criteria involved, but
you have to have criteria to make it fair.
Have to, but that was again, it made it all real And it's like, oh shit, like this is actually impacting people. We're making a difference.
Which was like, I think
that was a big part of it.
A big part of it. And it's also something like, for me especially, it's like, that's what I want other people to do, is like, you see stuff, fix it. Like, go for it. Like,
take action.
Don't think you need all the things. Like I said at the beginning, we had no idea how we're going to get money to people when this all started. But just because we had the intention and we had the drive, we made it happen. And now, 17 different families received a one-time $500 grant, which they used towards paying hydro bills in the city, in the GTA.
Crazy.
It's not like it didn't go overseas. It didn't go to another province.
It's like local. We made local impact and change here. And like you said, you don't need a lot you don't need to have it all figured out to make a difference.
Yeah.
You can make a difference in someone's life by just smiling at a stranger on the street, because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And that smile could like completely change their outlook on the day, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, everyone always thinks like, oh, I don't have enough money to make a difference. I don't have enough things. I don't have enough time. No, that's not it, man. You can make a difference even by holding a door for somebody, man. Like, just be kind and generous to people. And that's it, man. Just treat people how you want to be treated. It's very simple. And you can make a difference. You just have to have a different outlook.
You see an issue, rather than complain about it, think about how you can help. And that on its own is powerful.
100%.
Yeah. So that was very special. I think the 100 days were special on their own, but hearing the stories of the people and knowing that you're making an impact, and knowing that everything you're doing is more than you.
Right.
It's different. Like, I can't explain it to people.
No, it's
because I didn't know what it would feel like until I felt it. And when I felt it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So to piggyback on that.
All right.
In terms
you look into the camera when you do this.
in terms of the 100 days, I didn't actually do 100 days consistently. So I kind of had to put an end to my 100 days at day 89 due to a back injury I sustained, which essentially crippled me for a couple of weeks, which was tough. It was really tough. Like, I couldn't even shower for like 3 or 4 days because I could not move. And at first, it was really hard to process and deal with, because I felt like I had let myself down. I had let the guys down. I had let just everyone down. I was just like, man, how could I not finish this? Like, I made it through being sick. I did overcame, a 5-hour drive to make a dip, and like all these different things along the journey, and to have it cut short 11 days before the finish line was devastating. And, it was something that was out of my control. And which also sucked, because if it was something that I did, to fuck it up, then it's like, okay, I own that. That's me. But just being it was just a back injury that I sustained. It was just man, what the fuck? Now?
Yeah. 89. Yeah.
89. Really 11 days, man. 11 days. And I knew cold showers wasn't cutting it. Maybe I could have hobbled over to the shower and just let cold water rain down on me, but it's not it. That's just not it. And it was really hard to make peace with that. But Autumn had pointed out that, it's not about me and what I'm doing. It's about it's not about me personally.
Yeah.
The 100 days is whatever. It's about the impact we were creating and the change we were making in these other people's lives. That's what it was about. And when I reframed it that way, I was like, okay, I might not have finished the 100 days, but the change and impact we've created from this 100-day challenge is bigger than me. It was always bigger than me. I just made it about myself to get through the 100 days, because I needed to make it like a competition with me to get in the water every day, right? Because you're only competing against yourself, really, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And just knowing that it was bigger than me, and we were impacting people's lives, and we were making a change, made it okay to kind of process and deal with, because that's something I have to live with forever. Like I didn't actually finish the 100 days. And it's still like, every time I think about it, I'm like, man. And like being at the 100-day celebration, the news is there. Like all these people are there. Like, man, congratulations. Like I felt like a fraud the entire time. And literally nobody knows that I didn't finish the 100 days other than the guys and Autumn. And it's like, man, like.
But you did 89 days.
And that's true. And I have to look at that and take that on because like 89 days in itself is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, most people will do a 30-day challenge.
Bro, me a year ago or 2 years ago, 100 days of cold exposure, get the fuck out. I never would have even 30 days.
Yeah.
When I first started cold exposure, if I got to the lake like a handful of times in a week, I'd be like, that's plenty.
Yeah.
If that, like every couple weeks, whatever, 100 days straight or like 89 days straight.
Yeah.
Which is what it ended up being. It's fucking insane.
I think there's lessons in that too, right?
Oh, so many lessons.
So, because maybe people will listen to that podcast with Jason, but he made a very good point about like that being a lesson in and of itself, right? Like, are you going to allow yourself to look at like what I could have been or what you actually are and where you came from?
Right. And it's like how we keep score is what he was talking about. And like our whole lives were graded from like the whole school system, everything. It's like, how far are you away from perfect? You get graded from 100 down.
Yeah.
So it's always like, oh, you're not perfect. How far away from perfect are you?
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it, how far have you come from your baseline? Like, where were you 6 months ago opposed to where you are now?
Yeah.
How different is that person 3 months ago, 2 months ago, even like a week ago? What have you been doing to like change yourself and work towards being a better version of yourself? Like, look at that.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to other people and what society deems as perfect or the best or whatever, because that's irrelevant. It's all about you and where you're at on your journey and looking at how far you've come off your baseline. Where did you start and where are you now?
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. And for me,
there's some things that you learned by not completing 100 days that I did not learn. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
By having that situation occur where you couldn't reach the goal that has been the goal for 100 days straight, there's some emotions that you went through that I didn't go through, I didn't experience, right? There's some mental chatter that you had to overcome that I didn't have to overcome.
Yeah.
So that in of itself is like, it's pretty powerful. Like, I don't know who said this, but there's no lessons in success. All the lessons come in failure.
100%.
Right? You only learn when you fall short of a goal, because then you're like, oh, why did I fall short? Let me adjust. Right? So that in of itself is powerful, and you coming clean is powerful because nobody needs to know.
This has been eating me up inside. Like, you know how many people have talked to me post 100 days, be like, bro, you inspired me to do this. You inspired me to do a challenge. You this. And every time they talk to me, I'm like, I'm a fucking fraud. I had some guy come up to me at the Sunrise Social, be like, yo, like, I don't know if you know me. I comment on your stories and whatever. He's like, what you did in that 100 days was so inspiring. Like, you helped shift my perspective on life and everything. I was just like, inside, I'm like, I'm super grateful that I was able to do that for you, but I'm a fucking fraud. Like, and that's what, anytime anyone mentions it to me, I'm like, I didn't do it. Yeah. And it's been eating me up inside because like, I can't live with that, man. Like, it sucks.
It's a monkey on your back.
It is like, man, it's just like, yo, like I know I didn't do it. Again, no one needs to know.
Exactly.
But for me to sit here and like act as if I did it, yo, at the 100-day like celebration, I almost said it when it was my turn to speak. And then I had to catch myself and be like, hold on, you're making it about you again.
Yeah. It would have shifted all the energy.
All the people are here to celebrate this accomplishment that we did as a group, all this money we raised to help these people. It's not about me. And I had to, even in that moment, be like, fuck, man, this is bigger than you. Like, fucking stop. Nobody cares. At the end of the day, nobody really cares.
Nobody would have cared.
Nobody's going to care anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Who's like, and if you want to,
and if you
take a shot and say some shit, whatever, that's fine. But like, it's just a me thing. I had to come clean and be honest because it's been eating me up inside. And like, when people talk to me about it. I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you, because like I've obviously made a positive impact in your life.
But I want to shatter that.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin that. And you be like, oh, well, he's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. So there it is. I did 89 days, 100 days with an asterisk.
100 days in my books, brother.
Yeah.
We fucking, like, we put on a 50-person,
25
day 50
person
event, like
50-person dip.
No, when we did the day 50, that was like 150
Oh, that
people.
big event. Yeah, Woodbine. Yeah, that was crazy.
We're volunteering our time. We're going to pick up speakers.
Yeah.
We're getting there ahead of time. We're facilitating for people. Like, it's 100 days in my books.
Bro, I appreciate you.
I think that's it. That's a pretty good, I think that was a pretty good synopsis of all the 100 days, how it went, how we felt, the benefits. Obviously, cold exposure has been huge in both our lives. That's the only reason we know each other, funny enough.
Yes.
And this is one of the reasons I know a lot of people in the city. Yeah. So I'm sure we will always be talking about it, dabbling about it. And if there's any new information about it, we'll be touching on it. But that sums it up for our 100-day hydro.
Yeah. And in terms of challenges, I mean, I think on this podcast, we're going to be exploring a series of different challenges as well, just because of what it does, how it changes you mentally, physically.
Forces you into the corner.
Yeah. And I think that's important, right? And like, you know, this being nature is underrated, a lot of those challenges are going to involve nature and what that looks like, because this one was the most impactful like challenge I've ever done.
Oh yeah.
And again, forcing myself to be in nature made it that much better and made it so like I
elevated the experience
100%. And when you did get that sunrise, nothing better than that. So we're definitely stay tuned for that. We're going to be workshopping some challenges.
I think once the episodes start rolling out, I will get on my story and start really getting people hyped up and
absolutely.
some ideas.
Yeah. And if you guys want to join along, you're more than welcome.
All right.
It's gonna be
and that's it. That's a wrap on the episode today. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share. Let everyone know that nature is indeed underrated. Shout out to everyone who's listening. Love y'all. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Later.